Man, guys, it's showtime. Listen here, I'm not going to show you everything, but I've never even opened this. So we have to become legal, and I do mean tax related. I worked at MVP K9 Supplements, and I've never even opened this tax return. It says important tax return document to be clear. What the heck is this? Okay, that's when I was at 100. So we're gonna open this and see what this means. I know nothing. Now let me be very clear, saying ignorance is bliss, and so not knowing isn't a good thing. If ever you've watched an unsung or untold story where African Americans were doing business and didn't do business because they weren't about their business, they know nothing about their business, and they say, man, we were just talking about it, 80,000 people show up and you can't get a cheeseburger after the show, something's wrong with the business. Something's wrong with the business, and I think Ice Cube's NWA did a good job of painting that vivid picture. So, Kat, if you could, for one, let's get these taxes done on the business. So I found the document that she said I needed to find. Where do I go? Let's cut this light on.
Let's go. I hate Apple.
She's a lost soul.
Not a lost soul.
She doesn't understand the power of Apple.
Google does all the same stuff.
I hear you. I remember my first day.
Yeah.
I used to think the same thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be talking you through this. So, we're going to the Texas Comptroller's office. It's comptroller.texas.gov. This is basically where you're going to handle all of your filing. If you need to make any changes as far as your tax, filing status, addresses, anything along those lines, that's where you would go and do this at. So this is I literally just typed in Texas Comptroller. Pops up right here. You can go to the home page if there's other stuff you need to do, but I know we need to go in and we need to file and pay. We're gonna scroll down here. We're going to e-system and web file. So what I told Trevor I needed was his web file number. That's something that's assigned to you as soon as you get the business. And so we're looking for that web file number. Let me cover his other stuff here, but that's basically what we're looking for, that number that's assigned to you. And so I'm gonna go and we're gonna log in. Last time we tried to do this, he didn't have this number, but he did create a login. And it's not working. Love the Apple. We love Apple.
Yeah, we do. They're acting unusual per usual. Let me see. User ID. Let's put forgot password and see what happens. Did we create a user ID though? Was it like?
Should have for here, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So we're sending email, but it might be TF 365 with that password or TF 365. Yeah, I don't fucking remember. Let me do this. Forgot password. That's the only thing. I tell you one thing, people. I don't know how none of this stuff works because there's too many login things. That's the only bad thing about the internet nowadays. Hey, I forgot user ID. I got a lot of good tabs up. It's hard to... all the stuff I need to read. Your email address. Didn't fit 365. See? Boom.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go in, we're gonna assign taxes and fees. The way that they write this is very misleading. We're not actually assigning anything. What we're basically gonna go in and do down here is eliminate our obligation. So.
Now people, in the first year, from my understanding, you technically, she said, you're not tax liable. And why is that?
So it just depends. If I
did a mad amount of money, they like, yo,
Right. So if you make a certain amount of money and or like for you specifically, you weren't using a business account this whole time, right? So you can really kind of claim more so as sole proprietor, and that's something you would claim that income on your personal taxes, not on your business taxes. Because you're not collecting payments through any sort of merchant system, no business account. There's really not a ton of structure as far as that goes. So once we start invoicing clients, it's coming directly from the business, it's going into an account. That's whenever we really want to kind of transition that income over to our business instead of our personal. All right.
Now, people, what I love is I'm recording this, so myself included, I can go back and watch this anytime. Every state is different. Kansas does not have this same setup. And even if you're in the Missouri-Kansas side, which is where I'm from, you don't have to, say city boss, you don't have to, Kansas has better business laws. So most people who are even in Missouri will start a business or LLC per se in Kansas versus Missouri. So my last business was in Kansas, but I actually did business in Kansas too. So I don't think I ever worked with a Missouri school. I gotta be honest with you. Rockers. Rockers. I did work with Rockers.
Apple is different. How do you copy on Apple again? It's Command
C.
instead of Control, right?
Yeah, Command C.
Okay. So, entered it. God dang it, I got rid of it. So we're entering in the taxpayer number first. So again, this sheet has several different numbers on it. You need the taxpayer number, your file number, and your web file number. There are 3 separate numbers. So that's why these notices are super important. Whether it's coming to your email or physically to you, it doesn't matter. Make sure you keep track of all this stuff.
Last night you were dreaming when I heard you say.
We're gonna go in, we're gonna assign our franchise tax to ourselves, and that's where we're gonna go in and we're gonna put that web file number.
And if you don't, I mean, and I don't know this, and I never asked the question either. Why do they call it a franchise tax if you own an LLC in Texas? Because that's what threw me off too. I was like, yo, I don't own no franchise. This ain't no McDonald's or no Chick-fil-A. I ain't started no Planet Fitness.
So nothing in Texas makes sense. In my opinion, their entire system, everything is just really funky the way that they do it. So I don't know why it's called a franchise tax. I asked that same question when I went to go file for the first time. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. And we're doing this for my Dog Supps, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we've got that info entered in here, and so now it's popped up the business, my Dog Supps LLC. We assigned a franchise tax form to ourselves, and basically all we're gonna do now is just file and pay. Now it's gonna start asking us a whole bunch of fun questions. So,
I don't look too fun to me.
First thing here, we're gonna file a no tax due information report. Again, your process is gonna look entirely different if we're actually using our business, if we've got income on our business, if we actually have taxes we need to pay, that's gonna be something entirely different. But right now, we're just gonna file a no tax due information report. We're gonna make a payment only. Oh, oops, it should, okay, so it's letting us do both. Okay, perfect. So just file a no tax due information report. And that should just be it. Let me make sure. Request certificate of termination, request a clear letter. Yep. Man, it's just okay. All right, so we're good. So we're gonna continue. Annual. So you see the due date here was May 17th, 2023. So typically it wouldn't cost you anything to file, but right now there might be a late fee associated. Wouldn't be anything crazy, 20, 50 bucks, somewhere around there, but you wanna make sure we get this filed on time.
Yeah, people, we'll be doing so in the future for sure. I was actually trying to get a business account and everything, and because of the way that I set the LLC up, there's a couple names on there, we all got to be at the same place at the same time, which is never going to happen. So she said in another episode, I got to get a lawyer, reformat it, not change anyone's percentages or ownership, but I need to be able to make the majority of decisions as I already do, to be clear.
All right, these are all boring questions. Everybody's different, business is gonna be a little bit different. So, but for him specifically, none of these things apply to him. Whether the fact that he's in a combined group or a tiered partnership election, neither of those things actually apply to his business at this point in time. Oh, we need an NAICS code for you. Let's see. So this is something, NAICS code This is something that really confused the crap out of me in the beginning because there's also an SIC code. Long story short, they both mean, it classifies what type of business you have. So are you a marketing company? Are you a distribution company? Are you a logistics company? Whatever it is, an NAICS code just allows them to kind of classify your business. So let's go. So I'm gonna look up an NAICS code for an online merchant. That's what we're gonna start with and see if we can narrow it down. There's NAICS code for online stores and e-commerce.
You guys can't see Jamarcus's video. He didn't move his head around the camera. What's going on here? It's interesting.
Okay.
I tell you, it's confusing people. Like, look, in my opinion, business should be straightforward, and Texas by far most confusing because every time I personally went and looked, you get anxiety. Like, man, F this. But now you're doing business, and trust me, at some point they're gonna do like this here. And you don't want that problem because where we're headed, they're gonna come sniffing around if we don't get this thing under wraps.
So I typed it into Google and it literally popped on up right here for me. This is perfect. This is the NAICS code for online stores and e-commerce.
So this is like a routing number per se.
No. This is almost like, so how your EIN is kind of like your social security number for your business. This is kind of just another way to identify. It's just narrowing it down. So now instead of saying, hey, your social security number, you're a person, now you've got like the state where you live at, right? So this is our state sort of, or like our classification to further clarify what our business actually is.
Jesus Christ, man. This is a lot, people. Normally in Kansas, you gotta do like 2 things and pay them boys. File 0 and move on. Super easy. It was so easy that when I stopped doing TFIT, my lawyer emailed me and said, hey Trevor, you can register TF365, meaning I could have had a registered mark because I did business for 5 years and it was good business. Between paying taxes and just it being a viable business and all that other stuff. With the way this is starting, I'm gonna tell you right now, this might not work out. No, I'm playing. It'll work. And hopefully you learn something just like we are in this process because this is extensive. And if you go to Offer Credit, I'm sure at some point Kat will be doing other things to help people make more sense of their business. Business is not a fun thing, but it is a fun thing. This is not the fun stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Us doing the marketing thing and puppy blocks and all this stuff, that's cool. But this is like a headache.
So to simplify this, we got our NAICS code that we literally just looked up on Google. Accounting year for almost all businesses is going to be the first of the year to the last day of the year. This typically only changes if your business specifically runs like a fiscal year. And usually that's like going to be a government agency or something along those lines. So keep it simple, the first of the year to the last day of the year. As I said, passive entity is defined in Chapter 171 of the Texas Tax Code. Y'all can go look that up. I'm not going to explain it right now. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. 99% of the time, the answer is going to be no. Is the annualized total revenue below the no tax due threshold? Yes, because right now, you can see right here on total revenue, we're zeroing this business out for this year because, again, the business did not take in any revenue. This was run more so as a sole proprietorship, and so we're claiming $0 in revenue for the year. Does the entity have 0 tax gross receipts? Yes. Is this entity a real estate investment trust? No. And this is an entity a new veteran-owned business? No. Okay? Very simple. What I do cannot be after January 4th. The accounting year end date cannot be after January. Oh, I gotta do this for the previous year. Whoops. 2022.
2022?
There we go.
That's a good point too, because we just started the business in November of 2022 through December. So I assure you we didn't make 2 nickels going into that first year in 60 days. That wasn't even the goal. My goal was more so to make sure we had a product and then go from there.
Do you want the mailing address switched to here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I switched my other bank thing to here too. Another thing Kat said is you gotta have a point of reference. So in my case, I got this going to Hunters. I had my bank statements going to 1417 and a whole nother address. I know that address. I had some stuff going over to 14. I got.
That's stuff on my place.
I got stuff going to Jamarcus 305 Bird Creek Drive. You see what I'm saying? When I start going online, when people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't post your address," somebody told me all the time. I'm like, "Boy, I ain't there." I'm somebody said, I can see your address. You said, go ahead and go there. Why ain't nobody there?
Well, pull up on me.
They were like, yo, who you looking for? Trevor. Oh, we ain't seen him in years. We get some little mail every now and then. We call him when we think it's important. Past that, I ain't seen him. And that's just in Texas. Boy, you don't wonder how many places I've been in Missouri.
Oh my God.
I told him this. I said, people, imagine for 15 years of your life. I don't know how old anybody watching this is. In 15 years, I've never had an address. I had an address one time, 144 Winchester Ave in Kansas City, Missouri. But in 15 years, I've never had a home. I moved out of my house when I graduated high school. 2 weeks after I graduated high school, I was in an apartment in Oak Park Village in Kansas, right across from the mall. And I never went back. And so you go, where you been? I was in Arizona for almost a year, about 9 months, and lived with a dude named Chuck. I lived with my uncle. I lived with Andrew Brown. That was in less than a year. I was in 3 places in Arizona. And that's when I was, about 21. And the crazy part is my uncle got evicted out of his crib that we lived in out in Ahwatukee. And we had moved to an apartment. So technically, I was in 4 locations in under 9 months just when I lived in Arizona while turning 21. 15 years, I ain't never had a home.
All right, so last page that we just did, I'm not gonna show you guys because it had a lot of personal info on it, but basically all it was, hey, what's your mailing address? What is your principal office address? Typically you want this to be different, but I know a lot of people start their businesses at their home. So if you ever wanna, get the business to the point where you can maybe go for funding, go for grants, government issued grants, contracts, things along those lines, you need a physical business address. But for right now, again, it's okay. We're just gonna file everything here.
Does a P.O. box work?
That was gonna be my question.
So it does. It does work when you get into the realm of funding and things along those lines. You're gonna want that to change, and I've got some strategies to kind of get around that.
And guys, you go to she's helping us out. You want to go to Offer Credit, and she's going to help you guys out. I'm just trying to tie the 2 dots. Again, we've got a business. I believe I can build to a big business. The way to do that is to make sure you take care of the business. And if we don't do this, the business will have problems. And I want to minimize problems outside of us trying to figure out how to create more sales and scale.
Yep.
So
yeah, long story short, home address is okay. P.O. box is the next step. Physical business address is the best, if at all possible. So basically, this is what I was talking about. This report is being submitted after the due date. Reports filed after the due date incur a $50 late filing fee. So $50 for him to file this today. If he would have filed it before May 17th, it would have cost him $0 because he's not paying taxes.
not this year.
Not this year. 2024, he absolutely will be paying taxes for the year of 2023. And so this last page is gonna give us a little summary. We're good to go. We're just gonna hit continue because I know all the information that I put in here was correct. And now Trevor's gonna pay and he's gonna be good to go.
What do you do with people? Now again, I don't know a lot about business in the back end. I gotta be honest with you. When I built T-Fit, I had lawyers. Arthur Chalker is a lawyer who literally emailed me 2 years ago, maybe 3, about T-Fit. I had a guy named John Mark Williams who had a PhD in economy and basically everything. Him and I went to schools and talked and did, career days in a sense. I had everything. That's the truth. I never had to do anything other than go out and do what I do best, and that's run my mouth. So, so when you come in contact with people like Kat and Offer Credit and Jamal, people who know how to potentially get funding, even more importantly, make sure your business is running properly. Step one, and I'd imagine tightening up your personal is making sure your personal exists. Mm-hmm. So if you're not paying taxes, what does that do for a person? If you're not paying taxes, how can you help them?
So, I mean, it's not even necessarily about paying taxes. A lot of people, you know what I mean, especially right now, you're not going to owe tax, but you need to file it. Mm-hmm. You need to file it. You can't go get a mortgage. Mm-hmm. You can't go, a lot of times, realtors and things like that are going to want to see it just for you to even rent a house. They want to see that you're taking care of the small things as far as just filing, staying on records with things. Technically, it's illegal if you don't file taxes, but at the end of the day, it's not something they're ever going to come after you for. However, whenever we start trying to go do things again that are government associated, bank associated, things along those lines, they want to see that those returns are there.
There you go. And mind you, I feel like I still have so much more to learn in such a little amount of time. But I'll tell you one thing, whenever you build a big business, and I'm using Amazon, one of my favorite businesses, and I'd imagine Jobs as well, all of them, they're not looking at the tax returns, guys, especially on a business. And even probably for their own personal life. Warren Buffett, as you know, he pays $0 in taxes. So how does that happen? He's worth $80 billion. We all scratching our heads, but the point is because they understand that there are a lot of benefits to paying taxes and how to freak the system. She knows a lot of tricks as well. I plan on hopefully learning some. We are building a viable business that I believe is going to scale, and I got some people's names on it as well, so I don't want nobody at risk, because if they come looking at me, they gonna look at them too, and that turns to a whole nother thing. We lose trust and all this other stuff. So I'm about to pay this fee and keep the ball rolling. Anything else that you want them to know about business taxes?
No, they're not fun, but get an accountant. I mean, if you're, again, for him, this is something simple to zero out your franchise tax. For the most part, the questions are straightforward. For the most part, it's common sense. If you don't know what it is, you can typically look it up on Google. But if you are actually running a business and you've got accounts and you've got a merchant account that you're taking payments from, things along those lines, make sure you have an accountant on your side. Worst case scenario, if you do your own books, have a CPA that you can work with. They're gonna help you just to really figure out how to get a lot of the workarounds, all of your write-offs, things along those lines, to decrease your tax obligation, make sure that you're paying on time, make sure that you're saving so that you can pay your taxes quarterly and not have this massive scary bill at the end of the year. So yeah, just work with a professional. Nobody likes to pay for things up front. I totally get it. But when you're talking about starting a business, you're talking about investing money and time and resources into making sure that it's done the right way. That way you're not dealing with the problems on the back end.
And so that'd be the way to think of how to not stress about paying for things up front, because I love when people pay for things up front. I say I always get my money at the door. Yeah. And if it's not at the door, then I probably shouldn't be here. So is there anything they should do to psychologically prepare themselves to be like, yo, I don't want to give you money until you do this? Just like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, a business, you can't start it with no money. I mean, that's just the gist of it. You know, at the end of the day, making that investment on the front end, again, is going to save you all the time, the headache, the energy on the back end. Setting it up the right way is really the only way to do it, because when you don't, that's when you're scrambling. You're trying to figure out stuff like this. Again, Trevor's situation would be a heck of a lot different if he had made 100 grand this past year. Because now he's talking about paying 30–40% in taxes. He's talking about coming up with a $30,000 tax bill at the beginning of the year because he didn't pay anything quarterly, he didn't set anything aside, he had no idea, and he also has no idea what his write-offs are gonna be. So now he's just paying all these taxes. He's hit with a $30,000 tax bill and his business can't run until that's paid. So do the work on the front end, make the sacrifice, spend the money, find the resource, find the person, find your person to save yourself the headache.
And look here, people, we've got confirmed. You have filed successfully. There we go, people. You saw it live here. It's done. Shout out to everybody who's got puppy blocks, part of my Dog Supps and my dog tools, and a part of this soon to be my dog family, and definitely Cat for teaching us a lot. And I'll be honest with you, I still don't know what's going on. I gotta be honest, I have no clue what's going on. I know this is annoying, but it has to get done. Thank you so much for your assistance.
Anytime.